Thank you all for tuning in. The following is a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch the Third, coming to you live from the Palatial Studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Malden, Missouri. And joining us from across the oceans and, across the land, you can drive there, but from far away and exotic Costa Rica is my guest for today, Richard Blank. How you doing, Richard?
I'm doing great, Bill. I'm so happy to see you. It's my fourth time on your show, and
I know.
it keeps getting better every time. I just love coming back and sharing ideas and my adventures.
Yes, for sure. You're all dressed up for today. I'm impressed. I feel underdressed.
Don't worry about it, my man. I got a couple big parties after this podcast, so I'm dressed and at the ready for the holidays.
Nice. You do a big party, big shindig for the employees there at the call center?
Throughout the past 16 years, I've tried many different types of all-you-can-eat buffets and other types of restaurants and events. But the thing where I've gotten the most people to come and stay the longest and enjoy the most is all-you-can-bowl. So I rent out about 4 lanes. Yeah, I do it for about 8 hours so people can come at their leisure. They're not restricted to a certain time during a Saturday. And so they come in and they have a bunch of beers, a bunch of burgers, first-time bowlers, most of them, and
Nice.
They really enjoy themselves. And so it's a great bonding experience.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I've never had that as a Christmas party for the work when I've worked for other people. That's quite a unique idea. Yeah,
it really feels like high school. We get more of the corner of the lanes. So once again, we're not the general public, and as I say, just with all the beers and a lot of the times people don't spend time with each other outside of the office, maybe a few clicks. But this is the first time that everybody gets to raise a glass and break bread together. And so it really is one of those times where, they shed some skin and really bond that much more.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Hey, I don't recognize the jukebox behind you. Is that new?
Well, in my collection, yes, but she's a beautiful 1961 Ricola Regis. Now, Bill, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I'm up to 15 pinball machines and 6 jukeboxes. Forget the air hockey table and other machines. These are the choice ones. And people just have them in their bodegas or they forget about them. Put boxes on top of them. And so you and I are willing to drive 5 hours up into the mountains in the rainforest to save them and restore them. And so, yes, my good friend, she's here today, very proud.
Nice. Yeah, she's a beautiful machine. And what's the first song you put on? You put on a new jukebox.
I have 2 different ways to do it. First, you put in the radio and MP3 player, so you can do whatever you want to do. But when I would get the machines built, they're full of records, and I'm thinking In Excess, Led Zeppelin, anything. These are usually artists from the 50s, 60s, and 70s from Central America and Latin America. I've never heard of any of them. And so for the locals, they're gems. For me and you, we pass over them. And so I had to put my own collection in there. I buy stuff off of eBay, or even down here, there's some old vinyl shops where I can find some really nice 45s of certain rock bands that I like. And but maybe the first album I put in there, of course, it's In Excess. I had a 45 of Suicide Blonde, so that was the first one that I played in there. But, I fill it with what I can get. But it really does have a nice sound. I mean, I understand people's love for vinyl with the needle and the speakers. But then again, when you start doing the radio MP3 and Bluetooth, then you have millions of songs, and it's the top quality and you can do whatever you want with it. And so everybody to anybody can play DJ whenever they want.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I finally went and bought myself a little record player. It does. It also does MP3s and CDs. But yeah, I saw it
That's
at the
cool.
store. It was on sale. I'm like, okay, I got to get back into vinyl because I've got a very small collection of vinyl, and but I got to go out and get some more because yeah, it's there. There's nothing
Yo,
like the
Bill, what's
sound
your
of
most valuable piece?
oh goodness.
What would you say is your most valuable vinyl that you have, or the one we know the most?
Wow. Um, Gosh, I don't know if any of them really have value outside of myself, but I've got an old original Chicago album. Oh
There you go.
shoot, what's
That's cool.
I'm trying to remember which album it is. Ah, you put me on the
But the
spot.
sleeves are nice. The artwork.
Yeah, yeah, the artwork
To me,
is what
it's
most
really
people are
everything. They can
looking
read the
for.
lyric. Exactly. So it's something you can touch and hold, and that's cool, man. And there's a lot of fans out there, including myself, that like Chicago. So very
Yeah,
cool. Very cool.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, I need to get some Zeppelin in there, and you know, some old Queen. Um, love the stuff from the '70s and '80s, and just nothing today quite like that music.
I think they're under pressure to produce. And
Yeah,
back in the day, it was still sort of new, kind of like rock and roll was created out of, as they say, jazz and the blues back in the day. But where was that created from? And
right.
so it's okay that it's commercial, and I applaud their success. But
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know if it
absolutely.
can hold over time.
Yeah, seems like there's a severe lack of originality of newness to it. It feels the same as yesterday, you know. But I mean, there's some good people out there doing some good music. Um,
What
I
I
belong
try to
to
do,
a
if the beat sounds the same, oh,
you
I'm sorry,
know
go ahead.
no, I was going to say I know a few musicians through my networking group M&O that who are trying to well some of them are tribute artists, but there are definitely a few who are doing some new and original stuff. One of the guys I know, the main way earns a living is as a Freddie Mercury impersonator, as the head of a Queen
Really?
tribute band. Yeah, but he does his original work is what he refers to as um, rock opera, and he combines English with Arabic language work, and it has this. I mean, it's definitely rock and roll, but it has this operatic quality to it, and it's definitely very original. And yeah, if you ever have a chance to look up Aladdin, um, Allead. No, wait, one L, two D's. AL8. And let's see. Now I'm gonna have to look that up. Emo's gonna kill me.
Got my pad at the ready.
Yep. Let's see here. Um,
That's good.
Aeddin.
I admire the songwriter, and
Yes.
sometimes that lyric can be adapted into other types, unlike the music that sometimes can't be adjusted. And so it might not be the perfect fit, or it might not be where it needs to be. It's almost like, remember when Joe Cocker sang
Mm-hmm.
Help from My Friends at Woodstock? I believe that John Lennon said that, that song's kind of his now. I mean, there are certain people that can, as you say, cover it and take it to a certain place where maybe it needed to be originally, or most people understood it the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
And so lyrics are so important. It's almost interesting to
Oh
read the
yeah.
lyrics before you've been listening to the music. And I
Yeah.
find that quite interesting. And my communication studies in college, they really wanted you to see things three different ways: without sight, without sound, and then comboing it. And it's just, there's different perspectives in regards to which order that you put it into. And I always
Yeah.
tried to look at things as an arbitrary, in a neutral way, just to see how every single person could understand it. And that's where I think I got the most experiences out of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always found it interesting that most musicians seem to make their music first, and then the lyrics come from that. Um, where it's like in my mind, it makes more logical sense to write the lyrics first and then make music to fit it. But yeah, it's I mean, I guess it's all where your mentality comes from on things. Oh, I found it. Emo Aladdin. Alaeddin.
Rock on. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. They got a good plug today.
Yeah. Yep. Always. Always. But yeah, it's a very unique sound. But yeah, it's funny. When I met him, he was selling cars and fooling around with the music. And now the music is number one, and he decided to go all out. Just dive head first, and he's making a go of it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, there's really nothing better than a luxury trade. I know that they say it's cliche-ish to love what you do. If you love your work, it's not work, it's play. But yeah, come on, let's be
mm,
realistic. But
yeah,
if you lighten the load a little bit, where you can whistle while you work,
hmm,
then it really is satisfying. And you have to admire someone that has the vigor to go for it. A
yeah,
lot of people feel trapped these days, Bill, and they
yeah,
have responsibilities, and I respect that sort of obligation and commitment. But then again, they become fading flowers. Their heart gets sour
yeah,
because it's almost like the kid that's punished and looks out the window of the others that are playing. You feel like you're not really enjoying your life, or you
for
could be
sure.
at your greatest potential. And
Yeah,
so when you tell stories of these champions that have made it through this game of life and figured it out, it's inspiring for the rest of us.
yeah, it absolutely is. Well, shoot, your story's pretty inspiring too. I mean, you gave up everything that was familiar to move to another country and create this business that matches some of the huge call centers in the rest of the world that really in some ways exceeds their expectation. The other groups. I mean, I've called call centers before, and a lot of them in the Philippines and Asia and all. But yours is unique in the way you've crafted it. The people you have there are familiar with the language. It's not a barrier for them, and all. What was that like to leave all that you knew and go and start a new life in Costa Rica?
It's quite exciting because it was happening in my late 20s. So I was capable to handle it in a certain mature way. But prior to that, I majored in Spanish in college,
Mhm.
so I was prepared for the second language. I lived abroad my junior year, so I was familiar with being an expat, and I had
Okay.
the support and the love of my family and friends. So that, was a lot of go-go juice. But I also knew somebody here, so I just
Okay.
wasn't backpacking it and trying to paint shells on a beach to earn a living. I started off working at my friend's center. It wasn't C-level, so I didn't see contracts and the finances. But that's the greatest thing. It's almost being a camper instead of a counselor. I got a chance to really enjoy and earn a living here.
Nice.
And I fell in love and married the girl of my dreams. But you know what it is, my friend? When you're sitting in that row and you're rowing along with the people and you look left and right, you realize that your blood, sweat, and tears are with them. You get it. And so if you ever get the chance to be elevated and have leverage and run a company, you can relate at that level. You can talk about that rainy Wednesday or that FU hang up or that time you just didn't want to get out of bed. And so for me, it was very easy for me to start my business, not because of being a financial wizard or IT expert. I learned the empathy side. I learned what took people so they don't break or quit. and sometimes show fidelity and stay there. I took it to a little bit more of an extreme with my game room. And I also took it to the extreme by knowing them, their names, and breaking bread and training with them. A lot of CEOs decide not to walk the roads, or they just see people as numbers. And I'm fortunately capable of handling my 150. It's not like 15,000 people. You can't expect to know every name there. But with my group of strong warriors, of course I know them. I know them well. And that's one of the things where if I'm walking down the street, it's a pleasure to meet people and their families and be introduced in a nice way. And so it's almost like paying it forward, Bill. I mean, you can chase the money and that's great. And there's other sort of goals you can make for yourself. But for me, it was always about the positive reinforcement. I always thought that the market speaks. If nobody shows up, you have no friends. And so as much as I want to beg, borrow, steal, or whatever it took to get these people to come to the office, which I wouldn't do, I had to do it the old school way. I had to earn it because they have options. They could work at Amazon the next day or anywhere else. And so I had to be a straight shooter. I had to give them accounts that were ethical and moral and things they could go home and tell their parents about. And, you know, you're better off turning down business that you shouldn't have. I'm more proud of you for that than accepting it. And so we were very selective. And those are the sort of things that weather storms and makes your ship seaworthy because you have a reputation and you also realize you're a guest here. And to answer your question in a supreme pizza sort of way, these are the sort of good faith, intentional things that I did here in order to not get in trouble, to get the people to accept me, to understand the culture, and to find ways to thrive. And anybody can do that if they want to. They just need to keep an open mind and really not have any expectations. They should just be very open to experience. Now, you can be offended sometimes, and it tests your patience with potholes in the road and long lines at banks and stores and stuff. But listen, that's the price you pay. And if you're willing to offset certain comforts that you had back home, and willing to replace that with the sort of serenity, peace, and life experience, then fill your plate up as high as you want with life. And my good friend, there's nothing that was going to bother me. I live in paradise right now. I have more patience than an hourglass. And so I loved this transition. I had one last shot at it to live some life and leave castles and slay dragons. If not, then I would have been working in a family business in the United States and doing well. But I don't know, Bill, if I would be on your podcast telling these amazing tales and having this huge smile. I'd just be some cat that's just slugging away, making some cash and living life. And it's not really what I wanted to do.
No, of course not. Yeah, it's amazing where life can take you. I was in Southern California the last time we spoke, and now I'm living in southeastern Missouri, where it is currently 57 degrees.
Ooh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, are you going to ski it all this year?
No,
Do you guys get snow up there?
No, we don't get snow where I'm. Well, we get like a little tiny bit of snow where I'm at, but yeah, we're not really in the snowy part of the state. But maybe
Gotcha.
maybe build a snowman this year, but but not much more than that. But yeah,
and they used to call off school for us back in the day. We used to get a lot of snow days in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, I bet. Don't get too many in Costa Rica, though.
We do not, unfortunately.
Well, at least you got beautiful weather down there, and like you said, you're living in paradise. But yeah,
I'll tell you what, I replaced snow with earthquakes. I've definitely felt a few earthquakes since I've been here. I've slept through a few, but there are some that even we have it recorded on our cameras at the call center. You see the building shake and people running outside. So it's, am I used to it? Yes. Do I take it serious? Yes. It's not
Oh
the
yeah.
kind of thing where, well, maybe it's not going to happen today. Every time I feel the shake, you need to have discipline and you need to have a plan. And so my entire call center, instead of having chaos, it's almost like in school when they taught you the fire drills. This is not game time. I do have insurance here, but also I don't want the building to collapse on people, even though it's a
Right.
pretty solid structure. Regardless of nothing, when things like that happen, people have the right, the legal right, and the ethical right, moral right to get up from their desks and get out that building to protect themselves. And so
Yeah.
I haven't seen chaos. I've seen a couple people cry because they get emotional, and you got to calm
Huh.
down Billy in the corner. But, for the most part, people have calm and cool heads during chaos. And I like that about people when things like that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. We every now and again I think I feel something, but the local earthquake fault here is the New Madrid fault, which only goes off about every 150, 200 years. So, so I'm
Really?
not too worried about getting earthquakes. But yeah, but
Yeah.
we have been warned that we have a couple of tornado seasons, and that worries
Really?
me a little bit. But because we don't have a basement, so but
I was going to
but yeah, it's I mean, there's always something that an area has that isn't perfect, but you learn to live with it. You prepare as best you can and move on.
Of course.
But yeah. Oh, let's see. What are some good things we could talk about since it's just the two of us? Let's see. Any new pinball machines? You got the new jukebox. How about the
Great
pinball
question.
machines?
Actually, I got two brand new treasures, a
Nice.
1970 Bally's Camelot and a
Okay.
1971 Bally's Expressway. Mm.
Nice.
How do I explain them to you? Well, the
Yes.
Expressway is interesting. It's really only a one-player game. So that's nice.
Okay.
And both of the games have the wheels where they keep their score. The sounds are just bells and chimes off of the xylophone that they have. Simple scoring, and both of the play fields are painted wood compared to the laminates and stickers from the later games.
Okay.
The side art is incredible. The marquees are original and in excellent condition.
Great.
And for me, it's a slower play because of the incline of the table compared to some of the newer games. It's a very open play field. So, I mean, you can really hit your shots and it bounces around. And it's wonderful that I have them. I'm more than appreciative. I try to play them every day, and I see that the agents are gravitating towards those machines more than just my ultimate fighting machines that I own. They know this is a special experience that's different than virtual pinball. And why so much? Why my purest of pure passion? They were expensive growing up. I mean, I could play a Pac-Man and Asteroids for a half an hour on a quarter. Come on, you were a great Centipede game, right? I mean, what was your top game back in the day that you could play in the arcade?
Oh, back in the
What
game,
did you do
I
back in the day? What
liked
was your
I
top three
liked
games?
Tempest. I liked
Uh,
Tempest.
hmm. You had a
Yeah.
wonderful Atari Vector game, and what else could you
Hmm.
play?
Oh man. Did Asteroids, Centipede, and what all were some of the other ones? Did a lot of the shooting games, the ones with the actual where you'd have the light gun and
Sure.
and go shooting at the various characters. Always enjoyed that. Um, but
But you're talking Asteroids and Centipede,
yeah,
and
Asteroids and
an above
Centipede.
average player can run a 20-minute game on those. And so,
Yeah.
pinball, if you don't know that machine, that 25 or 50 cents could go within minutes. And
Right.
so, I kind of saw these pinball machines when I was a kid with just $5. That was like a senior cheerleader. That was just out of my league. I don't even want to go there. And so I needed to work with games that could last the afternoon, as you were mentioning, your Centipedes and Asteroids and Paperboy and all those
Yeah.
good things.
Oh man, I remember Paperboy.
But it's almost like when you're an adult and you have money to go to a candy store, you overindulge as an adult with discretionary income. And since I had the space, since I knew it was a good medium for the company, I knew that it was the perfect time for me to collect these machines because I just can't pack my house out with them. Even though I have a game room there, I just can't start bringing them in the house too. My wife would kill me. And it made sense because a lot of the agents enjoyed them. So it was a very strong argument for me to continue buying. But you're looking at machines that are worth, and I'm not going to, the most expensive machines I have, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Last Action Hero. It's a 94 machine, okay, from Data East. And that thing's about $5,000. I got a Doctor Who, NBA Fast Break, Judge Dredd. I mean, these are machines $3,000 to $5,000 depending on condition. I'm not even talking import tax and transportation. Let's not even go there.
Sure.
I'm getting these machines for like $400 to $500 tops, unless I buy in bulk. And then you just get in touch with certain companies like Marco Specialties, and they'll just look up the part for you and send it to you, which could be between 50 cents to a couple $100, depending if you need a screen. Nice. I have my electricians here that can read through these manuals, and even if they've never worked on a machine before, know how to connect the stuff, and things are starting to work. And then all of a sudden, little by little, this thing starts glowing more, bumping more, sounding more, and coming back to life. And I'm like, this is great. And so for an investment of, let's say, $400 and let's say another $300-400 under $1,000, I'm sitting on a $5,000 machine, which I'm never going to sell. But it's not the point. The point is that I'm capable of restoring these things, getting the parts. If I ever need to sell them, I'll get my money back. But they're not going anywhere. They're with me now. And so what a fun time. And it's free play. Home. So anybody that comes to visit me, play your brains out.
Yep. They found a good home, and yeah, there's something special about restoring or saving old things. I've had a few older items like coins and I have a collection of comic books, and being able to make sure that they're safe, and that they're not going to get destroyed or thrown out by somebody, just because they've gotten a little worn.
What sort of comic books do you have?
I have
like,
a
what
lot
are your
of
old
Spider-Man.
ones, like old Richie Rich and Archies and things like that?
I've got some of those. I've got some of those. Probably the oldest one I've got is a comic book I got from my mother that she had gotten when she was a little girl. Do you remember the movie Pollyanna, a Disney movie?
Sounds familiar.
About a little girl whose parents had died, and she goes to live with her rich aunt, and but she's got this cheerful, completely cheerful, optimistic, Pollyannish kind of outlook on life, and her aunt's the complete opposite, and the town is just down, and they're it's a depressed kind of area, but she ends up changing the way the town's outlook, and it's a Disney movie. So, but I've got a comic book adaptation of that movie, and so it's from back in like, I want to say the 60s, 50s or 60s. So not super old, but older than me. But
you're gonna laugh at my collection.
Oh yeah,
I got my Archies and the Richie Riches and all those spin-offs of that stuff, but I had a killer collection of Battlestar Galactica, the A-Team, this thing called Nam back in the day, which I used to collect, and like Conan the Barbarian. And
Okay.
these are that had like, the back plastic and things to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my collection now? I don't know. Your mom always threw it out or gave it
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Why? But yeah, man, I used to collect that stuff in the 70s and 80s. I'm glad you
Wow.
still have yours. You're very lucky.
Yeah, yeah. I've got the biggest section part of the collection would be Spider-Man. I've always been a huge
Ooh.
Spider-Man fan. Um, since I was a little kid. I mean, the way that they wrote him, going through normal problems as well as superhero problems, and I like that, and I like the Incredible Hulk because it wasn't just about it wasn't just about this brute. It was a psychological kind of a tale, which is why it's so hard to make a Hulk movie, because nobody wants to sit through 2 hours worth of psychoanalysis. but uh, um, but yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I've got some old Star Wars comics, and never got into the Conan the Barbarian ones, but yeah, it's you gotta have something that's fun, and that you can something you can save, and you'll be able to share with people, and like you've done with your pinball machines. But
Did you
yeah,
ever collect sports cards back in the day, like baseball cards and things like that?
I've got some. Not a huge collection. Probably not as many as I've got comic books, but yeah, I've got some. When let's see, I was in San Diego when the Padres went to the World Series against the Detroit Tigers, and so that was a big influence on me as far as sports go, and now it's mostly football for me. But
Football for you.
and I enjoy
I
I
got the
enjoy the
weirdest
battle.
collection.
Yeah.
We collected NHL cards
Okay.
probably from 68 to about 1980. So I
Wow.
probably have about 500 of those cards of all those old players without helmets, right?
Okay.
Missing teeth,
Mm-hmm.
goalies that didn't have masks back in the day.
Yeah. Crazy.
Nice. I mean, these guys were real rough.
Right.
But yeah, my old Broad Street Bullies, go Flyers.
Nice. Nice. Yes. Went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. Uh,
That's a good one. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. But yeah. Um, well, let's see. Well, we haven't done anything promoting you or your projects. Um, how can people find out about Costa Rica's call center? We should always do
We
that.
have a
Oops,
very
hold on.
large Facebook fan page, about 125,000 local Costa Rican ticos. So at least it'll give your audience a grasp of the business
Nice.
outsourcing services here in Central America. But yeah, Bill, you've always been so generous. And in regards to what I do, I just like to pay it forward. I share certain soft skill suggestions.
Mhm.
If people are looking to make prospecting phone calls or retain clients that are calling in, and I can't stress enough positive escalations. I think if someone assists you in getting an appointment, you should mention it verbally and in writing. There's circles and pipelines that can be built. So when you call companies back, you separate yourself from others ethically and through merit.
Yes.
And there are ways that you can crack some codes in regards to their company culture, their scheduling or direct extensions, or just one of the coolest things that ever happened to me was when I used to get transferred around a company before I found the right person. I would always put the names down, and when I got the right person, I would give them the list of all those that whispered me down the lane and got me there. But once in a while, there'd be some really colorful character in the mailroom, the accounting department, or somewhere I got transferred, and we connected. And when I mentioned that to the decision maker prior to even introducing myself, that this individual was incredible and Susan is like the funniest person in the world, I probably batted 1,000 on that. Instead of saying, "Who is this?" or "Is this a sales call?" People were like, "Oh yeah, Sally's my daughter. No, she's been with us for 20 years. Greatest employee we got." And so I've reduced defense from like a 10 to a 2, and I've adjusted that mass from a 2 to a 10 in regards to my momentum. And I did it in a normal way. I just thanked somebody and appreciated somebody. And it allowed me to at least present myself and gave me a fighting chance. I didn't say I closed every deal. Sometimes there's contractual price or other sort of obstacles, but the greatest thing is to Chuck Wepner, is to go the full distance against Ali. And I can live with myself if I can go all the rounds and give the best fight of my life. And so I just needed to unlock that key that most of these people come across and confront, that gatekeeper or the individual that just takes you down. And I found certain ways to knock them out of a trance, to show them good faith through doing company name spikes and just really giving a strong first impression that's non-threatening. And even if I did have a romantic death, Bill, and they hung up on me, I could introduce myself, company name spike, positive escalate, so I could still jump clouds. I can still take breaths. And it's just a way to give the agent, the salesperson, the prospector that sort of endurance and long-term play thinking, so they don't take it personal and ruin their rhythm and start grinding those gears. And have I made an art of this? No, I made a career of this, but I see the art in the speech.
Yeah.
And somebody needs to incorporate that when they make every phone call, do it with sincere passion. And if they do, and as I mentioned earlier, we have a luxury trade, and that's a nice thing.
Absolutely. Yes. In my my sideline, if um, if I may say that podcasting has become the big thing in my life, my sideline
Yeah.
is leadership guidance, and so we've talked about it before, and in the way I teach, one of the first thing, if not the first thing that I teach people is to be humble. Remember those names that you that you come past as you get transferred through, and that's one of the things I
Right.
really like about you, is that you've used this not as a, it's not a like many people think, it's not a bad thing, it's not a weakness, but a strength. And by remembering these names, you've gotten past so many doors. And was it the story that there's a story that goes that Richard Branson, when he after he bought a hotel, a luxury hotel in England somewhere, he spent time before going to see the general manager talking to the people on the floor. Talking to, he spent like 20 minutes talking with one of the chambermaids. And the next time he went in there, she had been promoted, and he remembered her name and who she was, and was able to ask questions that were relevant to her about, it's like, oh, how's your grandmother doing, and those kinds of things. And it's really, you know an amazing tribute to you, that you're not just looking at the end result, you're looking at the people it takes to get there. And I really, it's definitely one of the things that I really like about you.
Well, thanks, my brother. And I know you do the same thing, but I'm not going to insult you with this question, but I need to ask it.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we both surprised? Shouldn't most people, if not all, extend this sort of courtesy for people to remember somebody's name, or at least
should
make an effort?
should but don't.
Well, as I said earlier, there are people with IT and financial experience that can run circles around me, but maybe just by knowing somebody's name can get me the better agent, the better employee, the better coworker than Mr. IT, Mr. Finance that has an attitude.
Right.
And so maybe you and I go old school, where I
Yeah.
don't even need a computer to relate to you. I don't need even electricity or to log into something to
Right.
connect. And so by doing that, It's very fulfilling. It's not the sort of mask that can be taken down like the Wizard of Oz, or you get confronted or exposed one day. If you are that sort of sincere cat, it's the same thing every single day, no
Yeah.
matter how they try to trick you.
Yep.
And they're the ones that get exposed for not doing the correct thing when they should. And but you're bringing up some very, very good points today, Bill, and hopefully most people, if not all of your audience, can relate to that.
I hope so. But but anyway, I don't want to keep you from your parties, from showing off that fine suit.
Thanks, brother.
So I'll let you get going, and it's been great. The time has flown by, as they usually do with great shows, and all. And I hope to have you on again very soon. Um,
Thank you, Bill.
but
Really,
but
it's always
as
great seeing you.
great seeing you too. As I always ask before closing, do you have any final words for the nice people?
I always have a nice final word for everybody. I always end with not being hard on oneself, especially around the holidays, these New Year resolutions, times where either you're invited from a party or excluded from an event. You gotta not put all the eggs in that sort of mental basket. This is a time of not even reflection. It just is. It's the end of and the beginning of. And so just transition to that in a healthy way. Okay. Don't let this month, this week, this day constitute your entire year. And I know there's a lot of flashing lights and bells and whistles and Hallmark movies, Home Alone, which is my favorite, and all these other stuff to watch and to eat and to experience and try to do as much as you want to. If you like gingerbread cookies, then eat those, but doesn't mean that you need to have a mistletoe. And don't compare yourself to anybody else during the holidays. I always felt that the best presents, and you're going to maybe question me on this, but it's those handwritten cards. Even as a child or as an adult, when grandma used to write to you in cursive and really write out something compared to what the company writes to you, or the child that draws something on the outside, or someone that just makes something for you, like the sweater. As much as you laugh at it and it might not fit and one side's longer than another, that's priceless. And that means more than anything. And so maybe this season, do something that people may not expect or potentially would realize that your effort's worth more than the $99 that you spent on something.
That's
And
fun.
that's all. I've seen some very nice gestures this month that did I expect? No, but it was very appreciated. And it just makes my relationship with these people at a different level because they were thinking of me at a certain time. And that's a wonderful thing. Just to try to think in a positive way of those that are around you or even strangers during that time, just to pay a compliment forward. And maybe that's just my advice on ending the year, so you can jump a cloud into 2024 and just start strong.
Sounds like a great way to jump into the new year. But sometimes I miss the old ways. There was a lady back when I was living in Southern California who had gone to the family church with me, and she handmade these greeting cards for just about any occasion you could imagine, that she would make to give to people. And these weren't just, I mean, yes, there was a handwritten note inside, but they were like three-dimensional inside, and these little cutouts, and just they jumped out at you. And
Awesome.
it was just such a beautiful
Yeah.
thing, and a rare thing. But
And this was
yeah.
how many years ago that you're mentioning now on your amazing
Oh wow.
podcast? How many decades ago was this?
She this would have been within the last couple of years. that she was
Okay. Well,
still
then there
doing
you
this. This
go.
was
Well,
very
with all the
recent.
cars that you've seen your whole life,
Yeah.
think about it like this. Out of all the cars that my good friend Bill's received through the years, he's mentioning this one on his awesome podcast. And so definitely this one made the most impression.
Yes. Yes. A personal touch is definitely, the effort is worth everything. So with that, gentle listeners and viewers, I remind you to stay safe out there. Remember to wash your hands and stay tuned for the ending credits. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank our producer, my beloved mother, Eileen Hatch. I, of course, am your humble host. I'd also like to thank my special guest and friend of the show, Richard Blank, a communication expert, CEO of Costa Rica's call center, pinball wizard, and all-around great guy. Support the show if you feel so led over on patreon.com. We're known as Bald Spots Pro. Don't you dare miss YWL Online. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasts are offered. Be sure to tune in next time when my special guests will be Braca Getz, Harvard-educated author of 42 children's books and one grown-up book, and Andrew Fitzgerald, global beverage sales expert and author of How Did I Get Here? Traveling the Road to Resilience. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. If you or someone you know needs support now, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org. That is the suicide and crisis lifeline here in the United States.